On War Junk World War I, we search the battlefields to uncover artifacts to help tell the story of the Great War. Our focus is on the Belgian city of Ypres. During World War I, 5 major battles took place here. Millions of shells were fired. The land was ravaged. Hundreds of thousands of soldiers were killed or went missing in battle. We're taking to the skies.
Oh, I see something down there, Wayne.
And exploring all leads on the ground.
Absolutely amazing. And look at the pounding that this thing has taken.
To see what war junk is left behind.
That's a bunker.
Yeah, that is a bunker.
Can the team find pieces of a rare World War I tank?
Wow. So you found this here on the farm?
We found this here at the farm.
What is the story behind a mysterious piece of war junk we've never seen?
Do you recognize that? Have you seen one of them before?
And we face our toughest challenge yet, trying to solve the mystery behind a 100-year-old Bible. This is War Junk World War I.
I'm Professor David O'Keefe.
And I'm history buff and filmmaker Wayne Abbott.
Together, we travel the globe searching for war junk.
Remnants, artifacts, anything left over on the battlefield.
Some big, some small.
All with a story to tell.
And a mystery or two to solve along the way.
So Dave, I can't believe we're in Ypres 100 years after the start of the First World War.
Oh, it's amazing. I mean, this is one of the most iconic battlefields in all of history. I mean, they fought over this right from the start of 1914 right until the end of the war in 1918.
For us, we're trying to tell the story of the Battle of Ypres through war junk, so we should be able to find logs.
Well, without a doubt. I mean, there were 5 major engagements fought over here. The land changed hands a few times. This is a target-rich environment.
So, where do we start our investigation?
Well, I think first of all, we need to get a really good lay of the land, which means we got to get a bit higher.
What do you mean by higher?
I think we need to start this investigation from the air. The town of Ypres is less than 20 kilometers from the French border. It is here where the German army came face to face with Allied troops in November 1914. There is no particular strategic advantage to the city. It was simply fate that brought the war here. A salient or bulge around the city quickly formed. Until 1918, the fighting is harsh and bloody, but Ypres never falls.
We want to investigate and find war junk that truly tells the human story of the multiple battles at Ypres. To cover more ground, we decide there's only one way to accomplish this.
This is the way to investigate.
Yeah, it's a nice little piece of kit now, isn't it? First thing we did was when we arrived at the helicopter was to brief the pilot on what we were hoping to achieve, which was to get up in the air over the Ypres battlefield.
Yeah, we've rigged up the chopper with cameras outside and inside to capture everything, because we're working off of a World War I trench map, and it'll be quite exciting to see how much still exists from the war.
Imagine what it would have been like up here in 15 and then open top biplane.
The same view.
Yep.
Few less craters.
Looking at the aerial photos from 100 years ago and see how ravaged and scarred the land was, I think Dave and I were both expecting to see something.
What's this ahead of us now? Is this just a drainage ditch?
That is so trench-like below us. I mean, just the whole way it's shaped. But it is just a drainage ditch. It's a great representation of what the trenches would have looked like.
Oh, I see something down there, Wayne. 9 o'clock.
Right there. We see it, yeah.
There you go. That's a bunker.
Yeah, that is a bunker.
And from the map, it was clear this was a German one.
That's our first remnant. Still sitting here 100 years later.
What farm is this?
It says Pond Farm. Never heard of it. You always hear about Hellfire Corner, Mousetrap Farm, things along those lines. I've never come across Pond Farm. Oh, Wayne, right down there. 10 o'clock. Now that is one hell of a big bunker.
Yeah, that is another German bunker. That's bigger. What is this farm name?
This is Cheddar Villa.
That is one giant one. We should go and investigate it.
You know, to be honest, after seeing the aerial photos of the immense devastation, and actually, you know, touring some of the battlefields we've done, I expected I would see more remnants from the air.
I did too. I literally thought we would find at least patches with some shell craters, but there's nothing. So what do you think our plan of attack should be right now?
Well, I think really the idea is to get down and start visiting those farms.
Yeah, anything with a German bunker, so...
Yeah, it's a good place to start.
I agree.
We set off right away. We are on the hunt for World War I artifacts. Of course, we're searching for large pieces, but also smaller items with a story. And at the back of our minds, we want to dig on a World War I battlefield. First stop, Cheddar Villa. The owner allows us to look around.
Looks like it's actually been incorporated into the existing farm. Look at the walls of the oh my God, that's actually in decent shape. Look at this thing. Absolutely amazing. And look at the pounding that this thing is taking. You can actually see the pockmarks from the shells. You can see the aperture, you can see where the gun was, you could see the machine gun ports on each side. This was a central hub of the German defense in this area of Ypres. You know what, look at the pounding. I mean, we've seen pounding on all sides, so I'm assuming when it finally fell, this is exactly what happened. The Allies were able to surround it, they were able to isolate it with fire, and then eventually storm it and kill everybody inside.
Let's go in.
Well, this is the main chamber. Not exactly sure what they've been using it for the last 100 years.
Well, it looks like a stable or something.
It looks like it, eh? Yeah, well, be careful where you step. And the gun, which was probably about a 75 millimeter, maybe a little bigger, would have been right here, firing out this way.
The search for the remnants of war is always challenging. We're looking for ones with a mystery attached. And although Cheddar Villa is an impressive bunker, there's no mystery here. So it's off to our next objective, Pond Farm.
I think we were about to get lucky.
Why's that?
Well, just got an email from the research team who says they've made contact with the owner of Pond Farm.
Already?
Yeah, apparently a gentleman by the name of Stein, and he's waiting for us.
Well, from your trusty World War I map, how far away are we?
Just about 2 kilometers up the road.
Let's go.
Oh, look at the shell. Pond Farm.
An old shell is an interesting way to welcome visitors. Pond Farm looks like it may have some secrets to share, but it's best we remain cautiously optimistic.
Hello there.
Hello, are you Stein?
I'm Stein.
Oh, Stein, sorry. We were just marveling at your collection here.
Ah, thank you, thank you. I could not throw it away, so I'm keep collecting it.
You made a
outside.
war junk garden with it.
A war junk garden, yes. Pond Farm was a German headquarters, but the French soldiers, they were at that side, and the English soldiers were at that side.
Oh, so in other words, this farm changed hands a few times?
Yes, a few times, yes.
Stein, for me, was what we were looking for a great war junk story.
He's so passionate about the artifacts and about World War I and what happened on his farm. You just immediately get sucked into his stories.
Is that what I think they are?
Yes, it is.
These are unexploded shells.
All unexploded shells, and all founded around our farm.
This deadly collection of shells were all picked up by Stein's family as they worked the land. They store them in the cage until the Army's bomb disposal unit arrives once a year to gather them up. The shells are detonated not far from Pond Farm.
You can even hear the explosions from here.
So when the house shakes, you know what it is?
Yes.
You know, standing beside this cage of unexploded ordnance was exciting, but also made me uneasy, especially when he pointed out the one on the left.
That's a gas bomb.
That's a gas bomb?
That's a gas bomb. And inside of that bomb is a little bottle, and that's filled up with mustard gas.
With mustard gas, so it's still in there, it's still active?
It's still active, it's still in there, yes.
What's it like living on a ticking time bomb?
I grew up here, so I'm used to it.
I mean, the reason why we went to Pond Farm was because we saw the German bunker from our air investigation, so it was great when Stein took us over and we could explore it.
Now, when was this built?
This was built probably at the end of 1916 or beginning 1917. And this bunker was 25 meters long.
25 meters
This
long?
bunker came to the trees. That was such an...
All the way to the trees over there?
All the way to the trees.
So what happened to the rest of it?
Well, my grandfather, when he arrived here on our farm in 1960, he said, I'm not proud enough to have a German bunker on my farm.
Okay.
So he blew them up.
How come this part is still left then?
That's because of my grandmother, luckily. She said, you have to stop, my basement is cracking.
As impressive as all this war junk was, and there was quite a lot of it already, we weren't expecting what he was about to show us. Well, I mean, have you ever gone around and tried digging or tried to, find anything else?
Well, sometimes I'm searching with my metal detector and then can I find all the little stuff like munitions or bayonets or something like that.
Well, what do you do with them all?
I collect it in my museum.
You have a museum here?
Yes, I have.
On the property?
On the property, on our farm.
Can you show it to me?
Yeah, sure, no problem.
This is it here.
It's here.
Nice little place.
You're welcome.
Holy God! You did this?
This is my hobby.
All this from your farm?
Yes. Everything was founded around our farm.
How many pieces do you have here?
I do not know that.
Oh my.
A lot.
Apparently.
I have built this in 10 years' time.
In 10 years. That's it. I mean, this seems to be more than a collection. What was really impressive, though, was the fact that all this war junk was plucked from this 40-acre farm, from rifles to bayonets to gas canisters and gas masks, all on display. It's amazing. It truly takes you back to the full 4 years of fighting here on Pond Farm. I mean, I got to take this all in here for a second. I mean, this is incredible.
Thank you.
Well, this is something that caught my eye right here. Well, this looks like what's left of a Lee Enfield rifle. Is it?
Yes.
Did you find this here on the farm or somewhere in the
Well,
area?
in fact, it's all started because of this Enfield.
Really?
Yes, we have found that in one of our ponds, in our water wells. They were cleaning it with a crane, and it's very unique because it's still with the wood on.
It still has the wood on,
And
yeah,
normally
definitely.
you can't find that without.
No, usually you're just finding the barrels, right?
Yes, yes.
Wow.
And
Now, so this is the first piece of your entire collection.
This is the first piece.
But what about anything else that you might have? I mean, I noticed you have a gas mask here.
Yeah,
I mean, is this British or German?
That's a German gas mask.
This is a German gas mask.
Yeah, and that was found here in the area.
I wouldn't want to be wearing one of these. How scary would I look coming at you? Look at that.
Can you see anything?
No, I feel like a fly. I can't really see much. Whoa! Anything else you have around here that's really unique?
Yes, of course. I've got a piece of tank.
A piece of tank?
Yes.
You have a piece of a World War I tank.
Here it is.
Is it this?
Yeah.
I walked right by it. I didn't even notice what it was. Now, tanks at this time were extremely rare. There were only a couple of hundred in existence. To actually see a part from a tank, and particularly one this sizable, was really quite something. Well, what is this then? Is that a part of a tread?
Well, that's a part of the track.
Part of the track.
Part of the track, and that's a side plate.
This was most likely part of a British Mark IV tank. The tread and plate came from the rear portion of the tank. Designed to work as mobile pillboxes, tanks would strike out into no man's land to crumple barbed wire, silence machine gun positions, and help the infantry breach enemy trenches. Most of the early ones, however, proved too slow, too temperamental, and were prone to floundering in the Flanders mud. Do you still think there are more pieces here?
Yes, I'm sure of it.
Wow. Now, would you be interested in getting the war junk team involved to help you out?
That would be great because it's very hard work to dig and to search alone in the ground. It's too hard.
And I mean, there's nothing better than getting in and finding some fresh war junk on a World War I battlefield.
Pond Farm, what an incredible war junk find.
Oh yeah, what a passionate young man State is. I mean, you know, think about the collection that he's already been able to pull out of the ground.
And he's going to let us dig on a World War I battlefield. Now that's the ultimate.
Now it's time to investigate a more personal war junk story. We're heading to the most famous building in Ypres, Cloth Hall. During the war, this iconic 13th century building was completely destroyed, but then rebuilt. It now houses the most prestigious museum in the area, in Flanders Field Museum. We have a meeting with curator Dominic Den Duven.
So, I mean, this is an absolutely magnificent museum.
Well, we try to make it rather balanced with sound effects, witness accounts, objects, photographs, film. We use whatever evidence we can find to sustain that storyline and to tell the story of the war as it happened in this area.
So basically the evidence kind of like what we see before us.
We've got many more, both in the museum but also in the reserve, and I've taken out some special cases, some interesting cases from our storage room, from our reserve. So perhaps we could go to my office and have a proper look into some items.
This would be great.
Okay.
Let's go.
The museum has a number of artifacts stored in a private vault, not on display. Dominic wonders if we can help solve a mystery that has stumped them for decades.
And then I've got this, which is an object that has been forever in our library. And it's a Welsh Bible. And this explains that it was given to a particular soldier whose name you can read here, Owen Edward Williams. It was given when he went off to war in 1914, but it goes along with this card, and that makes it particularly fascinating and an even bigger mystery, because this explains that it belonged to a soldier that was killed on a very specific date, May 1915, on a very specific place near Ypres. We haven't been able yet to find whom exactly Owen Edward Williams was, which has been in the Ypres collections ever since the 1930s without knowing anything more about it.
Ever since, so for over 75 years,
Yes,
this has sat here without this mystery being solved.
Indeed.
Wow. Well, this is something we would like to do. So with your permission, can we take this?
Please go ahead.
Fantastic.
Well, Dave, this isn't our typical war junk artifact.
Well, it seems simple, right? You've got a name, you've got a date of death, and you have a unit. Now, if they haven't been able to put that together, then somewhere one of those elements is off, at least one of those elements.
Well, let's just get this off to the team, and we'll see where the journey leads.
Excellent. This century-old mystery will be a challenge. The best evidence is the card accompanying the Bible. We know the card was written when it was put on display in the museum in the 1930s. If this information is correct, it belongs to a Welsh soldier with the Royal Anglesey Royal Engineers, also known as the Second Siege Company, killed in May 1915. Our first objective is to find out what happened to the owner of the Bible, Owen Edward Williams. To start, we search the Commonwealth War Graves Commission database.
Okay, Owen Edward Williams.
How many did you get?
We have 4 guys that popped up on the War Graves Commission. The interesting thing is, 1 soldier died in 1916, 2 died in 1917, and the 4th, look at the date.
May 8th, 1915.
Yeah, 19 years old.
Second Battle of Ypres.
He's on the wall of the missing at the Menin Gate, panel 50.
Built in 1927, Menin Gate is a memorial to the dead and missing. Located at the start of Menin Road, the route the soldiers took to the front lines.
So how many names of the missing are on here?
54,000 names, but only from the British Commonwealth armies.
That's incredible.
Yep, these are just men who have no known grave. Amazing part is this doesn't take into account the French, the German, or the Americans who disappeared here either.
It's 14. That must be way up. It's just more names, more and more names.
Look at this.
Well, here's 50.
Yep, Monmouthshire Regiment.
Yeah. Are you kidding me? That whole panel?
And all the way down to here.
What's that? Now, what about our Owen Williams? Is he up here?
They're the Williams. Wow, 15 or 16 Williams.
And there he is, O. Williams.
Oh, Williams right there.
Now, he must be our guy.
Certainly sounds like it. The name matches, the age matches, and the date matches. There's only one sticking point, though, is the Monmouthshire Regiment. On the card, it said he was an engineer. Sometimes, though, they used to break up the engineers and penny packet them out to work with the infantry. And maybe he was caught in this, and they just assumed he was with the Monmouthshire.
Well, he's the only Owen Williams to die in May. So, I mean, I think he has to be the Owen Williams with the Bible.
Gotta be.
Today, we're with the Belgian bomb squad. We're going to get a sense of what the people of Ypres have to deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Well, this is the Belgian military base that holds the bomb disposal unit, and the amazing part is they've got a call that we're going to go out and follow them on.
You know, I'm still a little nervous doing this because they're going to be handling right in front of us, you know, live unexploded ordnance from 100 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, the stability comes into question, right? And that's one thing they mentioned. They said they just never know what they're going to get when they pick it up.
When we arrive, the protocol calls for us to stay at a safe distance until the bomb squad investigates the location. The report alerts them to 20 unexploded shells dangerously close to a housing division. Once they believe it's safe, we're allowed to take the cameras in closer. We're reassured by their quickness and confidence until they start hammering the shells. But this again is standard protocol, cleaning off as much dirt, mud, and debris from the outside of the shells before transporting them back for disposal.
Yeah, this is really amazing being here. I mean, it's not every day you get a chance to work with a bomb disposal unit. And of course you can see they've picked up, what, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, almost 20 shells from World War I. Most of them seem to be stable. They are a little concerned about one, but they've taken precautions, and now they're taking them off for demolition. And you're talking about all year. This happens every single day, every working day.
Every working day.
That's incredible. And that's just here in this region?
Since the last 100 years.
The team from the Belgian Army's bomb disposal unit have invited us to take part in the detonation of some of the World War I shells that they have found on the Ypres battlefield. Some of them could even be from Staines Farm. So right now, what we've been told, within just a few seconds, they are going to start detonating. So they're going to start with the one dead ahead, and then progressively, they're going to move through all 6.
Fire. 1, fire.
This is what we wanted to do.
Yeah, the continuing cleansing of the World War I battlefields.
3, 2, 1, fire. Okay, 3, 2, 1, yeah! Okay, good. Good job.
3, 2, 1.
Yeah. Okay, good.
You can imagine what it would have been like when, not just one explosion was happening every minute, but you had hundreds of those explosions every minute. 3, 4, 5, 6 a second. Everything would have been continually rumbling on the front lines.
3, 2, 1.
After the day with the Belgian Army's bomb disposal unit, we received more information with regards to the Welsh Bible story. We already have a good lead with an Owen Williams from the Monmouthshire Regiment who died in May 1915. But nothing is easy when it comes to researching a 100-year-old mystery.
The research team just got back to me. We have an interesting development. First of all, they were able to find the church that gave Owen Williams the Bible.
The actual church.
The actual church. And better yet, they found his baptism certificate, which shows he was born in 1895.
Now, these baptism papers, they were key. They gave not only his birth date, but the name of his parents. At that point, we realized that the Owen Williams who fought for the Monmouthshire Regiment wasn't our Owen Williams because he had different parents.
Well, it's not all bad news. I guess what we need to do now is direct our attention to this Owen Williams from this church who was given the Bible.
As we await news from the research team, it's time for the big dig at Pond Farm. Joining us is our team member from Hong Kong, Craig Mitchell.
Good day today, boys.
Lovely again, very lucky.
It's just great that you're here with us, Craig.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to getting mucky.
Craig's expertise will help Stain in his search for more pieces of the tank on Pond Farm.
So, Craig, this is a little different than Hong Kong.
It's very flat, where in Hong Kong you're sort of struggling to keep a grip on the side of a hill. This is just completely featureless, isn't it?
Dave and I have had an objective ever since coming to Ypres to actually do a dig on a World War I battlefield. Driving up to Pond Farm, there was a lot of excitement and anticipation of what we would find that day.
When we arrive, we meet a friend of Staines, a World War I researcher and tank enthusiast, Johan van Beeselaar. You must be Johan.
Yes.
Hi, David O'Keefe.
Welcome. Nice to meet you, I'm Craig.
Welcome.
That's Wayne Abbott.
Oh, hello. Welcome.
So Stain told us something really exciting, that you've actually been into the archives and have found something that might actually help us in our search today.
Well, I have on aerial photographs a tank very close to the spot where he did find it, so there's a strong possibility it's from that tank.
We make the trek through the cornfields to get to the dig site, a field on Pond Farm that has never been plowed. It also saw over 4 years of war. It could yield a great amount of World War I artifacts and hopefully some tank pieces.
Here on the right, we're almost there.
Where, over here?
Yeah, indeed. I recognize it. I can see almost a tank in my imagination.
So this is the general area where you found it?
Yes, this is our grassland, and we have found it pieces somewhere over there.
Just over here. Well, where was the tank originally then, Johan?
Tank pieces were there,
Tank
so
pieces
you
over
go
there.
into that direction, 100 meters should be about there and into the crops.
The British tank Johan discovered during his research is this one, named Glenlivet. This wartime aerial photo shows the Glenlivet on Pond Farm after it was hit on July 31st, 1917 in the opening moments of the Battle of Passchendaele. Reports indicate it was blown up for scrap after the war, which could explain why Stain found a large chunk of it 100 meters from what we expect to be ground zero.
So have you been able to find the family or any descendants of the tank man?
I've not been digging into it yet because it needs a lot of time, it needs a lot of luck, and I'm involved in another project. I'm actually rebuilding such a tank.
Really? Like a tiny little model?
No. Full scale, riding.
Full scale?
Yes.
A working model.
Johan said that he was an engineer and had been working on this project for 10 years. So we were really keen to see what he had accomplished.
We've got to start our dig here, but once we get things going, we're definitely coming up. We'll put it this way, we're hoping to find something right away, and with a tank of that size, even if it was blown up, there should be significant chunks around the ground zero area.
We were hoping for a quick hit, but no such luck. There seems to be nothing at ground zero, so we moved to the adjoining grass field where Stain found his original piece. It didn't take long to get a hit.
Okay. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Well, it looks like a fuse of some type. Can you?
Yeah, it's a part of a fuse from Germans.
A German fuse?
A German fuse, yes, probably of a gas bomb.
Now that's the fuse cap, and of course when the shell would come down, it would be on the nose of the shell, it would hit, the shell would explode and the gas would come out. It isn't part of a tank, but it is a significant find. This fuse is evidence of one of the millions of shells fired in this area during the war. Shockingly, as we heard from the Belgian Army's bomb disposal unit, many of these shells failed to explode, making digging a dangerous task here in Ypres.
Yeah, more than 100%.
Right there.
So it's right in this area here. It sounds fairly big for it to max out the machine like that, so I don't really want to go too heavy with the spade just yet because we don't know what it is. It could be dangerous, so we'll take it slowly and see what we've got. In fact, I think I can feel it just here. It looks cylindrical.
Yeah, you can see the shape.
Uh-oh, we've got a shell. Yeah. Look at that.
I see it's a small friction band, so that says it's German. Because if it's German, it's possibly gas, so...
Gas. It's one thing when you have a high explosive shell that is still intact, but if a gas shell has a leak in it or any type of crack, you're in real trouble. And there we were, literally 2 feet away.
We're going to take it extremely slowly around here, very carefully, and just slowly work our way down to see what we've got here.
The fuse is gone.
Yep, the fuse is...
There we go. Wow.
Pretty safe to handle, yeah.
It's not German, it's British. Now you see more of the friction
you can see
band.
it's thicker, right?
So that's a typical shrapnel bomb.
Yeah.
And this would be what, an 18-pounder?
An 18-pounder, yes.
An 18-pounder.
Yeah.
And what would happen is inside of here you've got hundreds of little lead balls about that big. And as it's coming over your head over here, the fuse goes off, it goes down the flash tube, sets off another charge at the back, which then pushes out all of the lead. And as it comes down, it will shower out in a big cone. And anything underneath it is just going to get obliterated. They're pretty nasty weapons.
Mm. Yeah, standard field gun from World War I, so of course there'd be millions of these around.
Over the next hour, we have hit after hit and dig up a variety of World War I artifacts. Unfortunately, no tank pieces. Then Dave and I decide to take the opportunity to go see Johan's tank and leave Stain and Craig to continue the search.
Yeah, it's big.
So this could be a war junk first?
Yeah, definitely. A man who claims to have built his own tank.
They said it was inside. Oh, it must be over here.
Yeah, it must be here. Oh my God! He wasn't kidding.
As we drove up, we didn't know what to expect as we turned into the big bay doors, and there in front of us was the strangest tank I've ever seen.
You believe this?
That is so cool.
You've actually built your own tank.
The first idea was in 2004. Without money, just a crazy idea.
So 10 years?
Almost 10 years.
Johan said that the engine that he found and is using will replicate the exact sound that the World War I tankers had to deal with each and every day out on the battlefield. And believe me,
it's loud.
Okay, we get the picture.
Woo! Wow. So the guys in the tank, like this 100 years ago, was that what they were hearing?
8 people in such a small place, it must have been awful.
It seems like a death trap, to be honest.
Yes, it's a death trap, but they were able to save a lot of lives. They could attack a strong point where they usually would have 1,000 victims, and 2 tanks were able to catch that.
So on Pond Farm, where Stain was looking, there was a tank this size that was in that little field that we were...
Yes, indeed.
So an extremely historic find is what he made.
In my eyes it is, and it's a very big piece. And especially with him, it's a piece of their own land, and that's what makes it so original for us.
So Stain and I were just searching on our own, and then again, another great big whack on the metal detector.
Well, can you see how long it is?
It's about that long. I'm getting from about there, somewhere in about here. So we started just taking away the top part of the soil there, and no more than an inch or 2 underneath the ground, we started to hit metal. And it's a big one.
Yep.
Oh, I think Wayne and Dave are going to be pretty happy to see this.
Craig called to tell us they had found something, but didn't say what it was. Now, we were eager to get back.
So I drove that Land Rover as fast as I could through Pond Farm. As we came around the corn, I could see Craig and Stain right in the middle of the field, not far from where we were digging a couple of hours ago before we left. It looks like it's still on the ground.
Wayne, have a look at this, buddy.
The discovery was rather shocking. This was not a tank part.
That's not what I think it is it?
This was a shell, a big one.
From the measurements, we think it looks like a 4.5 British high explosive round. Even though Stain has seen plenty of fuses, he's not seen one like this before.
This is something we didn't expect. A potentially deadly high explosive shell with a mystery fuse.
Well, the big concern is the fuse, because it's one that isn't standard. We don't really know what we're dealing with. It could be smoke, or it could be anything as lethal as high explosives, amatol, anything along those lines.
The standard practice in this part of the world is that the farmers have to remove it, so...
Are you kidding me?
No, that's what they're going to do.
We're going to move this now. So what's the procedure now that you want to do?
Now I want to dig this up very carefully, and then I will put it in the front loader. I have some bags with straw in it, and then I put it on that very carefully, and then I will drive to home.
We're just going to step back. We'll let you do your thing. Let's just hope everything unfolds safely.
Yeah, bring it in a little closer, bring it in.
This is what he deals with every week, every month of the year.
They find about 50 types of shells every year on their property.
And believe me, he's one brave young man.
Legs up. Here's the tough part. So far, so good.
It's quite amazing to watch how calm Stain is as he handles the unexploded shell. Though the bomb disposal unit will come to Pond Farm to pick up the shells, it's up to Stain and his family to take them from the field to the cage. This is life in Flanders.
So no problem.
No problem.
Once it's put down safely onto the rest of the live shells, we came over and have a little look at this fuse. You've not seen anything like that either?
No, normally we find them like that.
Much different from any of the other examples he's got already in this cage or in his collection, so no, it's quite a strange one, isn't it?
Well, I guess this has turned out to be a typical war junk moment. We came looking for a tank, and we end up with the mystery of a shell we've never seen before. Hundreds of thousands of unexploded shells still litter the fields of Ypres, and we find one with a unique mystery. It has an unusual fuse that Craig and Stain have never seen before. It takes Craig a while, but soon he finds the answer.
And then that's where the little groove is, where you just twist it and the whole thing will just pop off. What you have to do is when the fuse goes into the shell, it's got a safety cap, and the very last thing you do before you put it into the breech is you unscrew the top, revealing the very point of the fuse. That's when it goes into the gun and you fire it. And if you can see just in here, you can see where the safety cap just twists off and then comes off, then it's armed and it's ready to be used. For some reason, whoever shot this failed to take that safety cap off, which is why it didn't detonate at the end there. So it's a very unusual shell.
A simple safety cap left on a high explosive shell and fired. It's a 1 in a million find, tying into a much deeper human story.
You can imagine what these gunners were faced with, how exhausted they were, perhaps even under fire themselves. And at the heat of battle, instead of putting on the fuse, as they were supposed to do, and removing the cap, somebody made a mistake and left the cap on and fired it. And a century later, we pull this out of the ground in Ypres.
So mystery solved?
Mystery solved.
It is now time to tackle the Welsh Bible mystery head-on. We're still hoping to discover any information that will tell us what happened to Owen Edward Williams during the war. The main question is, was he killed like the card accompanying the Bible describes?
So Dave, 2 more documents came in from the research team. This is a marriage license from 1925, and look who's getting married.
Owen Edward Williams. So he made it through the war.
He served in the Merchant Navy, and there's a picture of Owen Edward Williams.
Look at him.
This file, this identity card from the Merchant Navy, really took us by surprise, because as of 1918, he was with the Merchant Navy. He was not with the 2nd Siege Company.
It appears the card accompanying the Bible is wrong. We now have proof that Owen Edward Williams survived the war, but we have no information as of yet that he was in Ypres. Our next objective is to find out if there could be another soldier killed in May 1915 who was in possession of Owen Williams' Bible.
This is when Wayne and I decided to expand our net, and we decided to look at all the Royal Anglesey Royal Engineers who were killed in May of 1915.
I found 6 Royal Engineers from Anglesey who died in May 1915. But out of the 6, 1 stood out. Owen John Owen.
Royal Engineers, 2nd Siege Company, died on May 4th, 1915, age 17.
But look at his hometown.
Holyhead.
Same hometown as Owen Edward Williams.
So both Owen John Owen and Owen Edward Williams came from this small village in Wales. There is a good chance they knew each other. Then we find a key piece of evidence.
One of our researchers found Owen Edward Williams' death certificate. This document was important not because of the year of death, which was 1967, but it was the first bit of information where we knew that Owen Edward Williams had a daughter named Iris. That was the piece of information that we needed.
Then the research team made a tremendous breakthrough. They were able to find family members that were still living in Wales, and now we were going to bring them to Ypres.
This is a special day. 3 members of Owen Edward Williams' family arrive in Ypres. Grandchildren and siblings, David and Margaret's daughter, Anna. We're hoping they can help us definitively solve the mystery of who was killed in May 1915 and may have had Owen Edward Williams' Bible. We were eager for them to meet curator Dominic Denduven.
Well, I've got here something to show you. Actually, it's a whole story to tell you. We had in our collection a small Bible, a Welsh Bible.
You can see when Dominic opened the box and revealed the Bible that it was a mix of surprise and confusion on the faces of Margaret, David, and Anna.
This is your grandfather's Bible.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you. Gosh.
Look this time. Wow.
That's incredible.
All these
and
years.
here we are, nearly 100 years later.
As we presented the research to the family and the story was unraveling in front of their eyes, you could see not only the curiosity build, but perhaps they were starting to put all the clues and all the evidence together. Suddenly, this started to make sense to them.
For all these years, your grandfather's been associated
with this Bible, and everybody believed he had died. So we think that this might have been the young soldier who might have been carrying your grandfather's Bible. And this is Owen John Owen, 17 years old.
The question is, did the two Owens know each other?
So there's nobody in your town, an Owen John Owen, another?
I'm sure they would have known each other. You know, it's a very small town, so.
Then Dominic points out Owen John Owen's address prior to World War I.
This has an address here.
Does it?
Oh, wow. Carrick-Louis Cottage.
Gosh.
Oh, wow.
How far away is that from you?
That's about a mile away from where you live, and about 3 miles away from where I live.
And then from the address where your grandfather lived, how close were they?
Half a mile, maybe.
So definitely they would have been part of the same church.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I would have thought so,
Really?
yes. Yeah.
The family confirmed our thoughts. Owen John Owen, from the address that's from the Commonwealth War Graves Commission, only lived less than half a mile from Owen Edward Williams. At that point, it was probably maybe the first time that I truly believed that we might have found the soldier who died and is connected with the Bible.
There was one last piece of the puzzle we wanted to share with them. Incredibly, one of our researchers in Wales came across a letter written by Owen Edward Williams. It had been lost for decades and only recently discovered. We were given a copy of the letter, which Margaret and David had never seen.
It's a poem as much as it is a letter. Just read it.
Oh, I am having the time of my life.
It was touching to hear Margaret read the words her grandfather wrote 100 years ago.
It's very moving that, this was in his hands at all that time.
And this poem contains the last crucial piece of evidence. Owen Edward Williams wrote this from Ypres in July 1915.
So finally, after this incredible research journey, we can now place Owen Edward Williams in Ypres in 1915, which means he had the Bible in his possession. But how it got in the hands of Owen John Owen, we don't know. Did he lose it? Did he give it to him? Was he asking him to carry it? Or did he give it to him to comfort him in his final moments of life?
They're going to take this Bible and put it on exhibit. Now, thousands of people can read the story of Owen Edward Williams and his pal, Owen John Owen.
Every night at 8 p.m. since 1927, except for the years of World War II, the last post ceremony takes place at the Menin Gate Memorial in remembrance of the dead and missing. Dave and I are honored to take part.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age will not weary them, nor the years condemn them. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow, we gave our today.
This time on War Junk World War I, we're exploring and investigating the battlefields of the Somme. An area of France where one of the largest and bloodiest battles took place between July and November 1916, including one of the worst days in military history. We're investigating the war junk left behind to see if we can solve a few mysteries about the battle. What can the team dig up in a 100-year-old German tunnel?
That's some serious war junk.
Can we put a face to a name of a soldier who left his mark nearly a century ago? And can we unite two artifacts separated since the Great War ended? This is War Junk World War I.
I'm Professor David O'Keefe.
And I'm history buff and filmmaker Wayne Abbott.
Together, we travel the globe searching for war junk.
Remnants, artifacts, anything left over on the battlefield.
Some big, some small.
All with a story to tell.
And a mystery or two to solve along the way.
So do you think we can get to the place?
I think we can. It all depends on how accurate this map from 1916 still is.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah, I think right up here on the left.
A little muddy here. There's the crater back there.
Where the trees are.
Where the trees are. The spot, I think, is somewhere close to here.
So basically, we are now on the British front lines.
In the Somme of 1916.
Our first objective was to actually find the exact spot that a British cameraman on July 1st, 1916, stood and captured the first second that the Battle of the Somme began.
Do you have a photo?
Yeah, I've got it here.
The British cameraman Geoffrey Mallins, using an old crank camera, had orders to capture the opening attack of the Battle of the Somme. Where he exactly stood to film this epic moment has always been disputed, but we feel we are close to the spot.
If we position the side of the ridge here with where we're standing, and those trees over there, that's the crater, which are represented here by that explosion.
So let me set up, and I think I can frame the shot exactly the way Geoffrey Mallins did at 7:20 a.m. on the morning of July 1st, 1916.
And then this ridge line to our left is almost perfect. You can imagine what it would have been like if you were the Germans and actually saw him setting up his camera. You'd have no clue what was about to happen. I mean, for weeks, British engineers had tunneled under the ridge and had dug out this massive cavern, packed it full of explosives, and right at H hour on the first day of the Battle of the Somme, boom. This was the first of many underground mine explosions on July 1st that destroyed strong German defensive positions. This site has become known as Hawthorne Crater. Welcome to the first day of the Battle of the Somme. The Somme battlefield lies 150 kilometers north of Paris and east of the town of Albert. The bloody battle lasted 4.5 months in this area. In total, the Allies suffered 650,000 casualties. Just over 24,000 were Canadian. Following the Hawthorne Crater explosion on July 1st, the British expected a swift victory, but quickly it turned into a bloodbath of epic proportions. 58,000 men were either killed, wounded, or went missing on that one day alone.
But now we're going to a place, though, that saw the action on July 1st, Beaumont-Hamel.
Yeah, it's an incredibly special place, particularly for Newfoundlanders and Canadians. And we're going to meet a writer-historian. He says he has an unusual piece of war junk he wants to show us. But what it is, we don't know. Beaumont-Hamel is just over the ridge from Hawthorne Crater. This well-preserved battlefield, now known as Newfoundland Memorial Park, witnessed some of the bloodiest fighting on July 1st, 1916. The Royal Newfoundland Regiment, operating under British command, attacked across this field early in the morning. Soon, however, their attack turned into a nightmare. We're hoping that writer and historian Philip Robinson can fill us in with more details.
The Newfoundlanders, when they advanced, they came 2 companies up, a 500-600 meter front, and as they came over the skyline there, they'd have been silhouetted all along the ridgeline. So they, of course, got the full wrath of the German machine guns, riflemen, and artillery.
And they were virtually wiped out here.
Slightly over 800 Newfoundlanders came into the line, and only 110 of those survived unscathed.
So basically everywhere we're standing right now
would have been littered with dead and wounded.
Hearing the stories from Philip really brought home how deadly the action was here on July 1st, 1916.
You just have to be astonished at their courage.
And this would have been just in the first few hours of the opening day of the Somme.
In the first hour and a half.
First hour and a half. The farther we went in and up the battlefield, you could start to see the German trenches and the features. And of course, there was one area that we really wanted to focus on, a place called Y Ravine. The Newfoundlanders attacked down the slope into the German lines. The terrain here gave the Germans the distinct advantage. Y Ravine was a formidable defensive position, and it remains much like it was in 1916.
You have this branch off the main ravine, which gave it its name, Y Ravine.
So the importance of Y Ravine then was essentially being able to bring up reinforcements during battle, evacuate the wounded, bring up ammunition.
With its steep sides and slopes and its chalk structure, you could drive dugouts into it easily.
Prior to coming to Beaumont Hamel, Philip had told us that he had quite the piece of war junk to show us.
And as we went further along the German lines, both Dave and I were getting more and more curious over what he was going to show us.
So those trees over there, that's the Hawthorne Crater.
That's the Hawthorne Crater over there, that's quite right. And here we are, in fact, entering what was the forward part of the German line at the head of Y Ravine. And this is what I brought you to see.
Yes. What the hell is this?
This hatch is covering a shaft that is about 8 meters deep that drops it down into a German tunnel.
So in other words, we can get down, get into this tunnel that'll take us out under no man's land?
That's right. If we lift this section of the hatch, then we have direct access to the shaft.
Did you ever have any camera crews go with you down here?
Never. Nobody's been down for a decade or so.
This was something completely unexpected. We had no idea that we'd have a chance to get down into a tunnel that hadn't seen the light of day in years. Are you ready for an adventure?
Can you believe that hatch? I mean, I just didn't know that's what Philip was going to show us.
I mean, it's right under the front lines, German front lines at Beaumont Hamel, one of the most historic places in Canadian history. And we get a chance to get down into a tunnel that apparently extends out under no man's land. 100-year-old tunnel that very few, if any, people have ever seen.
Our descent into the century-old tunnel will happen tomorrow, but now it's off to another location, just a few kilometers from Beaumont Hamel and Hawthorne Crater, a place with a very unusual name.
So we're going to a place called Ocean Villas in the middle of the Somme.
Yeah, well, actually, the town's real name is Auchan-Villers. But of course, the troops during World War I couldn't pronounce it properly, so they nicknamed it Ocean Villas.
Oh, look at that, we're right here.
There it is. I mean, we really are just off the front line here.
Ocean Villas is a unique place and run by a rather unique lady, Avril Williams. Avril moved here 20 years ago from England, and the Somme is now her home.
Hello.
Hello.
You must be Avril.
I am.
Hi, David O'Keefe.
Oh, nice to meet you.
This is Wayne Abbott.
Hello, Wayne.
Hello, Avril.
Nice
How are
to
you?
meet you.
So what a amazing place you have here.
Oh, thank you.
If I'm not mistaken, we are literally just a stone's throw from the front lines, aren't we?
Yeah, we're what we call a frontline village.
So during the war, or during the Battle of the Somme, what was this house used for?
In 1914, when the French pushed the Germans back, they occupied Ocean Villas and made it a redoubt, an underground fortress for the French.
So the whole area then was essentially turned into one giant fortress?
Oh, the whole village. I have to tell you, we have a trench as well.
You have a trench? Ocean Villas was then held by the British during the Battle of the Somme in 1916 and never fell into German hands. Look at this.
And you see, from this, we've discovered how different the trenches were. This is a communication trench.
This is a communication trench linking what to what?
It goes down to the front line, that way
Right
to
there.
Beaumont Hamel. As far as a shell would go, which was 4 miles, they had to have trenches.
So basically, this was not a fighting trench.
No.
This is what they used to get up to
and
the main
down,
lines.
just to protect them from shells or snipers.
This is incredible.
We've put it back exactly as it would have looked on the 1st of July 1916.
Well, it's amazing to be here. I mean, these, we always look at frontline trenches and think about the fighting trenches, but you forget you've got to get up to the trench and you've got to get back. And the whole area was under artillery fire. The idea was then to put in these almost subterranean highways, if you will, that would connect all the way up. And this one comes right by your place.
Absolutely.
Ocean Villas is itself an artifact from World War I. Avril then took us to the cellar of the main building. The foundation is the only part of the town that remains from World War I.
Oh, this is tight. Can I stand up yet? Oh, is this period or was this rebuilt?
No, it's not rebuilt. It's 17th century. The only thing that's been rebuilt is the entrance.
So I've noticed there's etchings on the wall?
Yes, this has given us the history.
Used as a first aid post and makeshift prison, these etchings were made by British soldiers. Avril has researched them and knows their stories.
It's outstanding. This is an incredible living artifact to the battles that went around and the men who served here.
Yeah.
I mean, do you have anything else on your property?
Actually, we've got a museum if you'd like to go and see it.
You've got your own museum here?
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to.
This is it.
This is your museum?
Yep.
This is huge. Oh my! I wasn't expecting this. This is huge. Look at the collection you have. When you said you had a museum, I kind of thought something a little smaller, perhaps. How did you get this collection?
Oh, from a number of collectors.
There is so much to Averil's museum, so many rare and unique items. We're about to find one that has a real mystery attached to it.
And this is quite intriguing.
Really?
Yeah, because it's got all sorts of markings on it.
We have a name here, and it looks like it's etched in, and it says L. Stokes, and we've got a service number. And then at the top, it looks like it has 116 BN, so the 116th Battalion. So you haven't done any research on this at all?
No, nothing.
So other than what we have marked on here, this is a complete mystery for you.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, we'd like to take some photos of this, and then we will process it, and we'll see what we come up with.
First order of business, figuring out what the item really is. We already have 3 pieces of evidence: name, service number, and battalion.
Oh, gosh.
I mean,
That's quite something.
It could be a compass case, because look, it has actually like felt inside. I see something else here, guys. I mean, just above the name here, I see out, O-U-T.
Well, yeah, you're right, eh?
Yeah.
O-U-T. Look at that.
Get a picture.
The markings on the case are overlapping. It makes it difficult to read, but then we make a significant discovery. S-C-O-U-T, Scout.
What's this then?
What? That's a BN. He was the battalion scout.
That's a 4th piece of evidence.
I mean, this really makes this something special.
It is.
And it would make sense why he would have a compass, right? If he's out there scouting about, he's going to have to mark things down. He's going to need one of these.
This is an unbelievable artifact with this much information.
Well, Mr. Stokes, maybe your compass case will tell us a story.
As our research team tries to solve the mystery behind the leather case, we are about to explore uncharted territory, the German tunnel at Beaumont Hamel.
Take that. So you ready for the day?
I'll be honest, I'm anxious. There is a lot of danger associated with what we're doing today. It does sound like a fairly narrow entrance.
But also the potential natural dangers going down of collapse, methane gas, lack of oxygen. I mean, this isn't something we faced before. And we're only going to be 5 stories underground, so don't worry about it. When we arrive at the site, Philip Robinson and his team of tunnel investigators from the UK-based Duran Group have already begun to set up. They're going to make sure that we get safely down the tunnel and hopefully back up. First job, however, is to get the old rusty hatch off. 10 years since they last popped this hatch. Looks like the hinge might be a bit rusted, but it's not giving. Okay. Ready? Yeah.
When I first looked at it, it did seem bigger than what Philip was saying. We're going down there?
That's the idea.
The thing that got me, though, was just the fact that when you look down, you couldn't see the bottom, and it just went into this dark abyss.
This is the cross-section of the tunnel. First, we have to drop down a 30-foot rabbit hole. Then, we have to scramble down a steep slope before we can finally access the tunnel floor. Paul Allison, the safety director from the Duran Group, gives us some comforting final instructions.
Traditional things like rockfall, collapse are highly unlikely in here. If anything does happen in the shaft, there are provisions down there for a few days while we dig and get you out. Try not to injure yourself. It's kind of slippy, you can trip over, you can bang your head. If you meet any Germans, tell them the war's over.
It's time to get rigged up. Though it will be a challenging task, we are thrilled to be the first ones to really explore this tunnel.
Game time is about to happen.
What artifacts are down there, we just don't know.
We're good to go?
Yeah. There you go.
Let's do it.
Hey, boys. How you feeling?
Feeling good.
Hey.
A little anxious, but not bad.
This was not the original entrance to the tunnel during the war. A collapse in the 1990s opened up this precarious and rather claustrophobic hole.
I'm actually at the narrow section right now. It's pretty tight, but should be okay.
Once I get past the narrow section, I find myself at the top of the steep slope.
Oh, I see. There we are. Oh, okay. I'm down.
All right.
Not too bad.
All I can see ahead of me is eerie darkness. Now I have to wait until Dave gets down. The question is, will he make it?
So what they're going to do is, instead of going down a ladder like everybody else has, because of my size and girth, they're going to have to lower me straight down.
I want you to just start going down the ladder. You'll come onto the rope and your weight will transfer onto the rope from the ladder. Big man coming down.
Yeah. Oh, now it's getting skinny. Plenty of butter and oil.
Slow down.
All right.
Push your feet back.
Push your back.
He made it.
This is amazing. This is better than I ever thought. It was well worth the trip down. It was amazing. As soon as I landed, all the nerves just simply subsided, and I just felt I was in my domain. This was incredible. Now I'm living history.
It didn't look like much of the tunnel had fallen in, and it was almost, I think, exactly the same as it was 100 years ago.
Oh, it's very neatly cut, isn't it?
Yeah.
You can just visualize a German sergeant major standing here saying, you know, trim that off, soldier.
Now it's time to see what artifacts remain that may tell the story of what life was really like down here during the war.
Look at this.
Yeah.
Looks like clips of rifle ammunition.
If it's rimless, it's German.
Looks rimless.
It is rimless, yes.
The first artifact is indeed German. No surprise, since tunneling began right after the first day of the Battle of the Somme. As we make our way deeper into the tunnel, Philip is able to give us more on its history.
This was probably a listening post.
Why would you need a listening post 5 stories underground?
Almost certainly the reason for this tunnel was a fear that the British miners would be trying to get underneath the German lines at the head of Wide Ravine and blow them there.
So the last thing they wanted was another surprise like they'd had at Hawthorne Crater. Located less than 1 kilometer from Hawthorne Crater, this tunnel was built under no man's land in order to listen for British engineers tunneling towards the German strongpoint at Wye Ravine. These tunnels were extremely important to the underground war. Some artifacts are found immediately, laying on top of the dried up mud floor. Then we discover something very rare.
What have you got, Philip?
Well, you tell me. I haven't seen a bullet like that I can think of. What's that?
Yeah, look at that.
This looks like an unusual bullet.
That was extremely unusual. You're used to seeing Lee Enfield 303 ammunition, or in this case, German ammunition, but this was something completely different. I had never seen anything like this, and neither had Philip.
It looks to be a narrower cartridge case as well.
Well, we certainly have a war junk history here.
As we continue to explore, more than just rusty pieces of metal appear.
It's a boot.
Look at this, hobnailed. That's a German boot.
The boot was very poignant. Who left it there, who lost it. It was one of the most human or personal artifacts that we found in the tunnel.
After 4.5 months of fighting, the Battle of the Somme ends in November 1916. The British capture the tunnel at this time. It must have been a great victory and relief to finally take control of Wye Ravine. What we don't know is if they used the tunnel for any particular purpose. So far, we haven't found any British artifacts. Until, that is, we turn the corner.
Whoa, 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 whoa. What's this? Private H. Robertson. 334. I'm not sure if that's a regiment or what that is.
Royal Engineers.
Royal Engineers.
Oh,
okay. Oh, wow. J.J. Foley. Oh, even his number. 226-694, it looks like.
Looks like it was written yesterday.
Look at this.
They're all in there.
Is that Cooper?
They even have a date.
11th of February, looks like 17, Royal Army Medical Corps. This is tangible proof that the British soldiers indeed occupied this tunnel. But these weren't frontline infantry, mostly rear service troops. Were they exploring like we are now? Or were they using this tunnel to get away from the ceaseless fighting above? Here they have their names, the date they were down there, and their service numbers, plus the units they served with. These are amazing historical signposts.
So more than likely, they were just doing an explorer like we were and thought they would sign their names. And I don't know, it was pretty special to see.
Ready to haul and haul.
Well, that was amazing.
That was a unique
Absolutely.
experience, wasn't it? And the whole area is just strewn with artifacts. I mean, talk about a target-rich environment. This is it.
Mick Hibbard from the Duran Group is their weapons expert.
Now, that's really interesting, because that was made in England.
England?
England?
England, indeed.
This is an English bullet. So you're saying that this was made in England?
Made in England for the Belgian army. We've made it as part of our war aid, sold it to the Belgians, captured by the Germans, and used here.
After finding this unique bullet, we now want to further explore the tunnel.
We're going to do a second expedition down in the tunnel. We're bringing in Craig Mitchell, our teammate, and in a couple of days, we're going to dig up the floor of this tunnel.
Plus, we have another poignant war junk mystery to solve.
We found about, 6 or 7 British soldiers who wrote their names on the side of the tunnel.
Yeah, some from the Royal Army Medical Corps and some from a field construction unit, which was absolutely incredible. And they were down there in 1917.
So we're going to send pictures off to the researchers, and there is enough information that possibly we could put a face to one of those names.
We already have 2 great mysteries to solve in the Somme. We are currently trying to find any information with regards to the soldiers who signed their names on the side of the tunnel. But the etchings on the compass case from Averill's museum have given us a great lead.
Dave,
yeah,
it's great that you have that there, because look at what I have. Just came in from the research team.
What's it? Oh my God.
That tells us who L. Stokes is.
You got his personnel file. Well, here, look, his regimental number matches up, 775572. And also the battalion he served with, the 116th.
That's right. Can't wait to tell Averill now.
What a huge break to be able to find this much information about one soldier and to find it so quickly.
Well, this Averill is actually his index card in his personnel file, which marked his movements as he went throughout the war.
L. Stokes is actually Lester Stokes from Ontario.
So did he survive?
He did. Here's his number, 775572. It's exactly the same one.
His battalion was at Vimy. It was also at Hill 70, and later on in Passchendaele, where he won the Military Medal for Bravery, which you can see noted here.
Here
Brave man.
is Lester Stokes.
And he's how old? He can't be very old.
Lester Stokes lived till he was 100 years old.
Wow.
Well, this belongs to the family. What stories he could tell.
As we search for more information about Lester Stokes and hopefully locate his family,
We're going to meet up with Craig Mitchell, teammate and experienced digger.
Have you searched or dug in a tunnel before?
I've been in plenty of tunnels, but I've never had an opportunity to search or dig in one.
You're not claustrophobic, are you?
No.
That's how we get in, and hopefully how we get out.
A 7.7 meter drop through a tiny little hole.
Yeah, but Dave made it.
Oh, in that case, I'm a little bit more optimistic now.
And prepare for our second expedition into the tunnel at Beaumont-Hamel.
Today, what we want to do is take Craig Mitchell down into the tunnel with his metal detector, scour the entire tunnel, and just see what artifacts have been buried in this area for 100 years.
It's quite a substantial hole you've got there, isn't it?
The caked mud along the floor is approximately 6 to 12 inches deep.
Here we go again, boys.
On our first expedition, we found a variety of artifacts. We really want to try and find family members of one of the British soldiers who signed his name in the tunnel in 1917. Also, we're hoping to discover more fascinating artifacts, as we are the first to investigate the mud floor of the tunnel. But of course, we have to be extremely careful.
The main danger down here would be live grenades or ordnance and stuff, so that's going to give you a very loud iron sound. If we hear a big beat that sounds iron, we're going to take that very seriously.
Yeah, certainly we have to. I mean, one thing that we were told was that at the end of the war, when these were sealed up, sometimes they just dump munitions in, so we really don't know what we're getting into here. We decide to go through the tunnel systematically, moving from one end to the other.
I was shocked right off the bat where we only went about 5 feet and Craig got 4 hits.
Yeah, I think this is somewhere in about here, I think it is.
Craig has hit after hit as we move through the tunnel, but then we come across something that concerns him.
I'm just going to leave that as a marker there, make sure nobody tramples anywhere near this, and we'll take a little look at it later on.
As Craig scours the tunnel with his metal detector, there is no doubt that this is a target-rich environment.
How many flags did we put down then?
I've got 2 left in my hand, so almost 20.
No, I think it's probably best if we start where the closest one and work back to the tunnel where we came in. It's a clip of bullets, isn't it?
Look at that. Almost 100 years down here.
So we've got 2 clips there. Look at that. One on the underside, one on the top. 10 bullets.
We pulled 1 bullet cartridge out, and then as Craig continued digging, there was a second, a third, and even a 4th. So in just one little section, somebody must have, 100 years ago, placed a number of cartridges on the bottom of the tunnel, and then the mud came in and covered it until today when we discovered it.
We continued the dig and uncovered everything from food cans to buttons to things we couldn't decipher. We backtracked to where Craig marked the target that concerned him.
I don't know what it is. It could be anything, but just want to be a bit careful about it.
He started to move around and then suddenly jump back and wouldn't touch it anymore. I realized we were dealing with some sort of an explosive.
I think we should just take a picture of it. I don't really want to move this much further, actually. I'm very concerned about this.
I mean, to me, it just looked like a rock, but Craig was really nervous, and there was a good reason why.
Well, it's about 65 mil across by approximately, 90 millimeters long. There's something circular at the bottom there that looks very sort of distinct. I think this shares a lot of the hallmarks to a grenade.
To think that we were walking unknowingly over this grenade just a couple of days earlier in our first expedition kind of brought the point home as just how dangerous what we are doing really is.
To get confirmation, we asked Matt from the Duran group to come in, and sure enough, there was no doubt this thing could go boom.
This is almost certainly a Mills bomb. You can almost see the sort of cross-hatching on it if you look closely. This will be okay as long as we don't touch it. We'll all back out of here. Been incredibly careful where you step. If it went off, we'd be in trouble.
This is quite a discovery. A British grenade buried in a German tunnel. If munitions were indeed stored here after the war, there could be more.
The last section we focused in on was around the boot. And believe me, I had no clue what we were about to uncover.
Let's just... What the hell is this?
Well, am I holding what I think I'm holding? Oh, great. And I literally was just about to toss this thing over my shoulder when I realized it was just too uniform in size.
As carefully as you can.
I don't know, it might be a grenade. It looks like it's got a
fuse at the bottom.
Looks like there's a fuse.
Could this be another grenade? And is it British or German? Having found potentially 2 deadly pieces of war junk in the tunnel, we feel that it's best we get back up and confer with the experts. Then Dave spots something on the ground near us.
Wait a second. I'm seeing it. Look at this.
What does that look like to you?
We got a pistol. That's the clip. There's the bullet.
There's bullets on the top of it.
Still in place. Nearly 100 years later.
Woo!
Are you kidding me?
Just lying here in the corner right next to the German boot.
This is a unique thing to find in this area, particularly this design. We certainly found some unique war junk. Now we're hoping that the experts from the Duran group can shed some light on these artifacts. The first thing are the bullets. This is what we brought up.
Yep.
And we found them in a grouping of 4.
They are British 303-inch Mark 7 ball rounds in a charger.
So a stack of British cartridges in a German tunnel. It shows that the Brits may have been down there to do a little bit more than just explore. We were also very intrigued by the pistol.
Have a look at this.
Ah.
What do you think?
Well, It's a very typical 7.65 German officer's sidearm. Originally it was in a holster with the gun and a spare clip sitting down in a pocket in the holster like that.
Officers didn't just drop their pistols any old how. One wonders whether this was a German officer who realized he was going to be forced to surrender, so he took his sidearm off and dropped it.
And then we showed them a picture of the last mysterious piece we found. There was one more thing that we found down there that, frankly, we need your help for.
That is very nice, very interesting.
Is that what we think it is?
That is a grenade, and that is a German grenade. It's what is known as a ball grenade, or its correct name is a Kugel grenade, K-U-G-E-L.
But what kind of charge would have been in there if it went off?
A couple of ounces of high explosive, and certainly enough to ruin your day.
What great discoveries, both British and German. It is clear that the British accessed the tunnel after Y Ravine fell in November 1916. Though it doesn't appear they used it for any significant military purpose, what we did find seems to indicate that they used the tunnel to explore and perhaps get away from the nightmare up above, some of them taking the time to etch their names on the tunnel walls. And speaking of signatures, we just got a new lead.
When Dave and I were packing up the Land Rover, an email came in. And wouldn't you know it, we got incredible news.
Our research team just this moment found the great-nephew of J.J. Foley, one of the soldiers who left his mark on the tunnel wall. If we could bring J.J. Foley's great-nephew here to Beaumont Hamel, that would be just an incredible moment.
Although the Battle of the Somme officially ended in November 1916, the fighting in this area continued until the last days of the war in 1918. The scars of battle can still be seen to this day, especially here in Newfoundland Memorial Park.
It's been over 6 months since we were in the Somme last, but we had to come back for one very good reason.
We have a new development in the leather compass case story. We found the son of Lester Stokes. He has come from Chatham, Ontario to the Somme to meet Avril Williams.
Now, Jim and his wife, Ruth, know nothing about the leather compass case that we have of Lester's that's with Avril at her museum.
And what we're hoping to do is finally reunite the compass case with Jim.
Jim and Ruth are both retired Army officers. We visit a cemetery near Avril's museum so they can pay their respects.
This is actually, this cemetery we're in right now, Pozières, is one of the largest in this area. And it really is a representation of all the Allied soldiers that fought around here. So how much do you know about your father's experiences?
Our den where he used to talk with his veteran friends that would come to visit. You could sit right at the edge in the hall, and if you kept your mouth shut, you could learn a great deal.
The children, even the grandchildren, would sit quietly and listen to what Papa was talking about. So it included the whole family, which was wonderful to see.
One thing that was remarkable is when he started to talk about his father's role in the 116th Battalion. His father was a scout, and of course we knew right away how important the compass would be to the scout. He had to get out into no man's land. He had to tape routes for the battalion to follow. And better yet, during raids, he had to use that compass to get them back home safely.
Every time that he went out was a chance that something could happen to him.
And that's why he had that compass that we've got with us that he brought back.
So you brought the compass with you then?
Yes, yes.
Jim brought a compass with them. This is not something that Dave and I expected.
It would be fair to say then that this was perhaps his most cherished memento?
Cherished is a good word, but necessary is a better one. He had to have that as a scout. He used to hold it in his hand in the later years. It was his prized possession, yes, but he always said it was the most necessary thing he had in the battlefield.
The first thing we did is we wanted to introduce Jim and Ruth to Avril. Now, the great thing is Jim doesn't know the item that Avril has, and Avril doesn't know that Jim has a compass.
The only question is whether this compass actually would fit that case. Avril Williams, I would like you to meet Ruth And Jim Stokes.
Hello, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Jim is the son of Lester Stokes.
Oh, right.
We held back just to let Avril and Jim have their moment and see what happens when Jim actually sees the compass case for the first time.
Right. I believe he was a scout.
Yes.
And this is the compass case.
Right.
With his name on it.
There's something missing, isn't it?
Oh, the compass.
You're kidding.
Mm.
The compass is missing.
Mm. You haven't got the compass.
77, 55, 72. And my father carried it all his
life.
Right through to the end.
First thing Jim does is compare the markings on both items.
Yes, see the Stokes, the S?
Yeah.
And probably done with a bayonet. Oh, the lettering is the same.
Yeah, look at that.
He probably did it at the same time.
Yeah.
Then he makes a surprising decision.
And I really feel it should go with you and in this case. When Father was talking to us, he'd hold it in his hand and talk to the great-grandchildren, tell them the good things about the war. So may we present this to you?
I don't know what to say. I mean, thank yous just isn't enough.
Oh,
I just think this is lovely.
Well, now it's where it's meant to be with you for other people to look at.
I just can't get over this. It's incredible.
Why don't we see if it still fits?
It goes in perfectly.
And perfectly, back home.
And now, after a century, the Stokes story comes full circle.
I couldn't believe that the compass case survived. It's absolutely fantastic to be able to put something back where it belongs.
This is the first time in nearly 100 years that the compass and its case were together once again.
There was one more thing we had to do. Although Lester survived the war, he lost his elder brother Clifford in February 1917, just a few kilometers from Avril's place. It seems most appropriate to take Jim to the Regina Trench Cemetery, Clifford's final resting place.
There's Clifford. We found Papa's compass case, Clifford, so you don't need to worry about your brother now. He can find his way to find you. Well, Grandma Stokes would be proud that we're back here again. We've looked after both her boys.
On our first expedition down in the tunnel under Beaumont Hamel, we discovered a number of signatures of British soldiers who signed their names after the Battle of the Somme ended when the British captured the tunnel. We found the personnel file of one of those soldiers, J.J. Foley.
It took us a while, but we were finally able to make a breakthrough in the J.J. Foley mystery. We found two of his descendants. We brought J.J. Foley's great-nephew, Brett Bates Sr., and his son, Brett Jr., over from England to the Somme to take them down into the tunnel. So how does it feel to be here?
Surreal. Yeah, very surreal.
So what exactly do you know about J.J. Foley?
All we really know is that he was in the Royal Engineers. We know he was 17 when he signed up, and that's pretty much it.
There are no photographs from the war, but they do have his two medals. All we've told them to date is exactly what they're going to experience in getting down into the tunnel. What's in the tunnel to them is a mystery.
You're going underground, and there's a few hazards in there, but I just want to talk to you about the main hazard. You need to monitor yourselves, and if you feel uneasy or unwell, any sort of panic attack coming on, you need to tell Andy, just say to him that you're unhappy and that you want to go out.
Oh my God.
Oxygen is a little low there this morning. I've been in. but it's at a level that's perfectly acceptable. Coming down. There are munitions down there. Don't touch them.
It's just strange being here knowing that he was here 100 years ago.
Both make it down without any problems. Now it's time to show them what they came here to see.
Okay, gents, this is the beginning. Welcome to the descent in your family history.
Yes, but I wasn't expecting to be under the family tree. I'm excited. I am excited. It's still not real, but it's becoming more real by the moment.
I mean, it's one thing to pick up various forms of war junk off the field, but this was something completely different. Also, they were only going to get a chance to see this once, and once only.
So you remember, as we're walking down here, this is the exact route that JJ would have taken in 1917 when he was down here. Okay, gents, we're just about to get to the bend, which takes us to the last part of the tunnel. And you can see, take a look around. And guess what we see?
Oh my God. Look, that's Jack. Yeah. I can't believe how preserved it is.
It was amazing watching them look at the signature of J.J. Foley. It kind of opened up a crack in their family history, and they just jumped right in.
It's unbelievable.
Believe it or not, and it is only a signature on the wall, but I actually feel like I know him. He was a name on a piece of paper, really, beforehand. But he did this. He actually did this while he was here. And I don't know what was going through his mind at the time when he was doing it. Hopefully he was down here, as I say, having a cigarette and a beer, leaving his mark. Never, ever expected something like this. This is incredible. It's the closest they're going to get to him nowadays, isn't it? Yeah. Jack and his medals. Well done, Jack.
Just want to keep looking at it because I don't think I'm ever going to get a chance to see it ever again.
Well, at least we got the photograph.
Thank you.
Our journey through the Somme has come to a poignant end. It's quite remarkable being able to reunite lost artifacts with families of soldiers who fought during World War I. It's amazing to think that the Somme still has secrets to give up, even after 100 years.